Hey everyone, Tamara Tamu here. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Unleashed Alchemy, where on this channel we talk about going against any established grain, whether that's in religion, in your family, in society, in education, going against all of that, okay, to embrace your soul fulfilled life, all right, to experience spiritual liberation, which affects every single aspect of your life. So let's do, in this episode, I want to do first a really brief summary of what we have been talking about over the last 3 days. Okay, so what we have been talking about over the last 3 days is embracing your role as an energetic pioneer in your lineage. Yes, that is a mouthful and it means a lot, okay? And it is attached to you living authentically, which has everything to do with spirituality. Because when you raise your hand and you say, I choose to make spirituality the backbone of my life, your true essence, the authentic you is the you that comes online, okay? That comes online. This is beyond the self that you see in the mirror. This is beyond your ego. This is beyond your normal senses. This is the you of you. Some people will call it God in you. Some people will call it cosmic energy in you, infinite intelligence in you. Doesn't matter what you call it. The point is there is a higher source that's in you that wants to be expressed, that wants you to embrace it. There is a higher source in you that the ego is designed to conform to, not the other way around. That's where programming comes in, because we have flipped it. We have been taught to flip it, where the ego suppresses the soul aligned us. It's where the ego suppresses our soul, suppresses our true authenticity. So over the last, 5 years, or maybe even longer than that, it seems like the word being, or the phrase being authentic, was that buzz phrase that you hear, from coaches online, offline, whatever. We know how it works on social media. Sometimes people will grab a hold of a certain phrase and then everybody starts using it. But from my perspective, the true meaning of being authentic is tapping into your soul, tapping into your spirit, your identity, not the one someone gave you, but that identity that goes beyond what you see in the mirror, that identity that is cosmic, that identity that is above any external environment, okay? That identity that says, what I speak, the external environment has to conform to what I say. That's a bold statement, yes, but that is how we are supposed to live because of the power that we have. Okay, it's about tapping in to that power and allowing it to be expressed and not being afraid of it. All right, so let's get into the summary really quick. So we talked about when we accept all of that, we can go through phases. And let me just give you this side note. Everything that I share on Unleashed Alchemy is coming from my own experience, okay? Through transformation, through spiritual transformation, my own experience. This is not from a book. This is not from what I heard someone say. These are things that I have lived and am living right now, okay? So these phases that I presented to you over the last 3 days, these are phases that I found myself going through, okay? So you're going to go, now remember, when we're talking about embracing our role as an energetic pioneer in our lineage, over the last 3 days, including this video, when you hear me say people, I'm specifically talking about family, okay? I'm specifically talking about family. Now, because with a spiritual transformation, with spiritual elevation, consciousness elevation, you get self realizations. The you of you unfolds. Okay? The old falls away. Now the you of you comes forth. All right? So you have the self realization. Self, capital S, capital E, capital L, capital F. Okay? Self realizations. So you embrace that. Then what happens is you start to have realizations about the people in your life, i.e., your family. Okay? And what can be realized for you are certain patterns. The patterns can be things that have served the family. In this case, we're talking about the patterns that have not. But yet, because it is a pattern, because no one has identified it as an unhealthy pattern or a pattern that does not serve anyone, that keeps people stifled, yes, you see family members living. They are surviving. They seem to be doing okay in life. But because the pathology hasn't been pointed out or hasn't been addressed within themselves, perhaps they're not living a completely liberated life like they could be. And because of your self-realization, your eyes start to be opened to these things, to these patterns. It can be overwhelming. You can go through a denial. You can go through denial, meaning, okay, I'm making this up. How could this person possibly be in this pattern? This is someone that I love. Why am I thinking this way? Denial. Resentment because you see it. And we know we can't unsee or unknow things. Once we see it, we see it. Once we know it. Can't go back. And then you start to say, well, why me? Why do I have to be aware of these things? Then you go through a phase where you just accept it. Where you just accept it and you say, okay, I see what that is. I see that there is an unhealthy pattern here. When you can observe it that way, you can separate the person that you love from that unhealthy pattern. You can separate the person that you love from that pathology. All right? So now, in this video, I want to focus on the fact that can sound like a big challenge to be aware of those things. Because again, in one of the phases, denial and resentment comes because you're just like, I just want to enjoy life. I just want to live life. I don't want to have to be privy to any of that. You can still enjoy life. Who said that you could not enjoy life and still embracing your role as that energetic pioneer in your lineage to free your DNA from those pathologies? So here's what I want to say. It can sound like a huge challenge, yes, because of what we told ourselves about what going against the grain means. And I just touched on this. So this is not about looking down on people. It is not about judging the person. Yeah, it's about judging the program, and it's about judging the unhealthy pattern that has existed because people have gotten used to existing in a certain way. But it's not about judging the person. It's not also about you announcing to everyone, hey, I'm here to clean up the bloodline. Hey, I'm here to do this. I'm here to make everything better. No. All right, I'm looking down because I have my notes. That is not what this is about. This is about you reclaiming your essence to go against the grain. And all it takes is one person for everyone else that chooses to be liberated. Okay? So it's about you reclaiming your essence to go against the grain. So Let's give some examples. What is going against the grain? The grain of what? It could be religion. Most of the time in families, the family has a base, the base religion where everybody is a certain, they call themselves a certain thing. They go to a certain church, especially depending on the size of the city that you grew up in. Everyone goes to the same clump of churches, all right, that have the same type of dogma or religion, okay? Also, going against the grain could be in how you communicate. So let me give a brief example. So a certain pattern in communication could be projection. A person projecting their own hurts on to you, and you accepting that as your own, so you don't really assert your emotions, or you don't assert what you need because you don't want to hurt this person's feelings. That's a pathology in communication. Or perhaps, here's a simpler one, you could just be talking and a person could just jump in and cut you off and they assume what you're going to say. That is a pathology. And if you're saying, well, no, what I have to say is important, so I'd like to finish my thought, that is going against the grain, because that could throw the other person off, because that is not what they're used to. Do you see? All right. So now, boundaries. If no one is used to setting boundaries, and another thing that can happen in families is that we'll go back to communication, because communication and boundaries go together, okay? You could have a family could be used to people saying hurtful things to each other, or just saying or crossing boundaries in conversation, and the other person on the receiving end, they don't say anything because of the title that other person holds in the family. And so they just say, oh, well, that's just how that person is. And this person is older than me, or they hold this title, so I'm going to give them a pass. That is a pathology. That is unhealthy. Okay? Also, going against the grain could be how you value your values. Your values in life are now authentic to you. For example, perhaps a certain value in life could be, okay, well, you could go to college after high school, you get a good job, then you get married, you buy a house, you have a kid, and then, you just work to make your life work. And you stay married for the kid, even if you're not unhappy or you're not happy. That pattern, that programming, if that does not work, that does not work for everybody. I'll say that first. But if that is a pattern that is handed to you and it doesn't work for you, and you stay in it because that's what everyone does, that is an example of a pathology. So then what happens? Everyone is given that same recipe. Everyone in the family is given that same recipe. They live that out whether or not they are happy. They're happy or not. It doesn't matter. They live it out, and it's not even theirs. They don't even value that. There's nothing wrong with having value, but make sure that it is authentic to your soul. Perhaps what is authentic to you is was not going to college, being educated. You can be educated but not go to college. Perhaps you didn't care about the degree. You wanted to be an entrepreneur, a traveling entrepreneur. Perhaps you wanted to be a travel writer. Perhaps you wanted to write songs for commercials. I'm just throwing these examples out there. Maybe you did not want to be married. Maybe you did not want to have children because you valued something else that was real and authentic to you, but you adopted a guide that was not authentic. And when you see people in your family do that, that is a pathology. Okay? So, values. And another example could be how you view money. How you view money. Okay, we could go on it. We're going to talk more about these values inside of the Magic School on April 26th, which is a Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. This month is a perfect month to get in. It's always a perfect month to sign up for the Magic School. Okay, so so much spiritual wisdom. All these topics that I talk about on my channel, this is surface. I go so far beyond the surface with everything that I talk about on this channel inside of the Magic School. There's rituals in there. Most of the content is video in the form of video workshop. I like to teach by showing my face, by showing up so you can see me. Okay, that is how I teach. So most of the information is through video workshop form. And the reason why I chose to do it by the month is so that anyone who enrolls does not feel like they have to rush. There's no rush here through the workshops. No rush at all. But after each workshop, you'll have a chance to integrate the knowledge. It's not just about me throwing information at you. Again, with the same idea that I apply to the YouTube channel, it's all from my experience. I didn't get it from a book, all right? It was downloads, divine, sovereign downloads from Spirit on what to provide, okay? So, get inside the Magic School for the live session on April 26th, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, where I go in depth on this same topic, all right? Now, I'm just going to tell you that this can be triggering, or it could be triggering because of the topics that I'm going to really dive more deep into as far as lineage, okay, as far as what's in our lineage and what we don't have to subscribe to. All right, so I will leave the link in the description box of this video for you to sign up. All right, or you can leave a comment, okay, and I will reply with the link. All right, so let's go back to our values. So your values about what happiness looks like to you, going against the grain on what happiness looks like to you, going against the grain on spirituality. Like I said earlier, for many of us, okay, maybe this is a geographical thing, but like I said, growing up, when you grow up in a family, most of the time, a lot of the times, the religion is something that everyone follows the same religion, all right? And it's something that is handed to you. That's another thing that's handed to many of us, all right? But what is authentic to you has nothing to do with religion, but it is more on the spiritual side. It's embracing a practice that is authentic to you. So I'll give you a really brief example about myself. I have always been mesmerized by astrology. Always. I've always been mesmerized by the spiritual practices of ancient Kemet, okay, which we now know as Egypt. Always. However, because of what was handed to me about religion, I was afraid to go into what was authentic to me and research astrology and research Kemet. I mean, not anymore, of course. I'm just giving you that as an example. Today, that is a part of my spiritual practice. And that has nothing to do with the religion that I was given when I was a child. Okay? So that is an example of going against the grain. Choosing to tap into the magic, the real magic that is in you. Okay? Also, another example I want to bring up about going against the grain is how you view what is realistic for you. So, this is where the power of what we say, the power of our words, the power of our heka, the power of that vibration, and I'm feeling my own vibration as I speak here, the power of that vibration that comes up through your throat to create. Here's a side note. If you have ever seen an aerial view, is it the aerial view? Yes. Of a uterus and your larynx, it looks miraculously similar. Why? Because the same creation power that is in the divine uterus is the same creation power that we have when we speak. So, what does this have to do with our lineage? Because we have this is the perfect example that I want to use. We've always all heard this phrase. Well, it runs in the family. Okay, where does it stop? It stops here. It stops with you. It stops with me. We hear this a lot of times. That phrase is brought up when we're talking about illnesses. Now, many times when people say, oh, it runs in the family, in their mind, they think that, oh, we're saying that because we're being realistic. You have to be realistic. Who said that? How about it being realistic that the running of whatever this illness is or whatever the disease is, that has stopped? How about that being realistic? No more will we say, oh, it just runs in the family. No. It has stopped running. Our bloodline is cleared from that. Our lineage is cleared from that. We don't have to accept dis-ease. We don't have to accept disharmony. We have the power to create harmony on the inside and without. Period. That is realistic. And when you start to speak that way, that is going against the grain. But that's all a part of it. And we have the power to create that for our lives. And again, this is not about us going around raising our hand, having it on a t-shirt. I am the energetic pioneer in my lineage. I'm going to free our bloodline. No, it's about you choosing to be, you choosing to accept your true authenticity, which is your cosmic power, your God power, your goddess power. Greater is in you. That's what that means. Greater is in you. Greater works shall you do. That's Christ consciousness. So, Yahshua, I'm just going to end on this. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but Yahshua was not this special human being that had all the power. No, this was a type of person that raised their hand and said, I'm allowing the authentic me to be expressed, to be magnetized, so that I can walk in my true cosmic power. Yahshua was showing us, okay, the same power that you see me working with, you got it, and you can do more if you just accept it. And that is already in our DNA. That is already in our bloodline. And just allow it to be expressed through you. Okay? So, that is it. So we'll call this day 4. All right. I wanted to do that summary and just provide just a little bit more for you guys. So don't forget, the Magic School is open April 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday. Did I say Friday? Friday. I'm repeating this again. We're going into this deep. All right. So let me know if you have any questions for me. You can also feel free to send me an email, unleashedalchemy@gmail.com. I'm here to support you on this odyssey, and it can be exciting. It can make spirituality. I know we talk about a lot of serious things. It doesn't have to be serious. This is you taking every single aspect of your life and living it out in the most easeful way. Spirituality is not hard because you are already spiritual. You're a soul, you're a spirit that came into this body. So it is not all about, being serious. No, it's just about allowing that magic, that source to just be expressed through you, period. And it can be easeful. All right. So I wanted to say this about the email. If you have a question for me and you want it to be more private, you can send me an email. Feel free. unleashedalchemy@gmail.com. And I'll say this about my one-on-one sessions. I am still taking on clients. You've heard me talk about this before if you're not new here, but I no longer provide just one-off sessions. It is a 90-day package, all right, where you will work with me. We'll work together over a 90-day period to get you to experience the spiritual revolution and spiritual liberation that you came here to live, which will positively affect each and every aspect of your life, each part of your life, as within, so without. All right, that is it for today. So until next time, cheers.